Hey guys, welcome to the Something About Tuesdays podcast. I'm your host, Phebe Joi. Join me every other Tuesday for a lighthearted podcast to keep you company while you do your thing. Hey guys, welcome back to Something About Tuesdays, episode 36. I'm your host, Phebe Joi, and hi, hey, and welcome. I hope you guys have had an amazing last few weeks. Y'all, I feel like we are like right in the middle in the swing of summer. It just feels like summer. And I think part of that is because of it's right now, it's like a few days after the 4th of July. And right before this comes out, when this comes out, it'll be, not too much past the 4th of July. And all of the celebrations just have been fun. So, for you, happy 4th of July, happy Juneteenth, happy National Indigenous Day, whatever you might have celebrated in the last few weeks in relation to freedom and just like the freedoms we have in our country and that we experience. Happy whatever that day is for you. It truly has been a fun last few weeks celebrating. And it makes it feel officially like summer. Like I know June, I consider pretty much all of June summer regardless. And I think that's because of being in school. Usually we're out at the beginning of June. So once that last day hits, it's like, boom, summer has started. But technically it's not until the end of June 21st or 2nd, one of those, that summer starts. And so we are only a couple of solid weeks into summer and it feels like it. And I like literally it feels like it because it is. Y'all, has been hot. Let me see. What has our temperature been? Probably like high 80s, maybe. Probably about high 80s most of the time. Sometimes low 90s. Sometimes, I don't know that we've gotten to low 80s, but it's been pretty warm. And wherever you are, you might be like, that is nothing compared to what we have. But, we do have that. It's just been hot. Like, I've been trying to go for walks, which I'm going to talk about later. And y'all, not even 5 minutes outside, like 2 minutes outside, and I am sweating. And it is not because of how much I've been walking and the energy I have been exerting, but it's because of the heat. That heat, man. But it is like officially summer. Like we are in the middle of summer, so it feels very summery. It's been great, like I said, with all the celebrations. Our church does a 4th of July freedom celebration every year. I think it's something we just start. Well, we've always done it, but now we've incorporated fireworks and things. And so we have fireworks and like bouncies for the kids. And I know for the kids, I love bouncies. Honestly, as an adult, I think it would be fun to get in a bouncy. I haven't been in one in a long, long time. I have been in one since my adulthood, but I think it would be fun to get in one again, other than, y'all, because of, my affinity for hurting myself. I don't know that would be the best idea. I can't blame my age. I'm working on not doing that, y'all know. But I can say it's maybe not the best idea for me to get in a bouncy, but best believe if given the opportunity to, I will definitely get in one and bounce around. But there can't be any kids in there because I will feel so terrible if I send them flying or accidentally land on them or hurt them or something like that. So I wouldn't want to get in there with kids, but totally I would get in there by myself with other adults, even though honestly, I think anytime I've gotten in a bouncy, it's been a little nerve-wracking getting into them with other human beings because somehow you're going to end up on top of somebody, crashing into somebody, landing on somebody, bumping into somebody. And I think that is part of the fun, unless you're the one getting landed on. But anywho, so our church has this freedom celebration, and it was really cool. Last year was great. It was big. This year it was great. It was big. We had a lot of people come, a lot of people who aren't even members of our church. So a lot of people in the community came, and that's always fun to see. Like I love when we get to interact with other people, but show them like this is who we are, and this is the community that you could have as well. So that was really great. And the fireworks were amazing as always. I actually didn't stick around for the fireworks this year. I had to run back home to do some stuff. But last year it was phenomenal. This year my sister sent me a video and it was just great. That being said, look, y'all, I think I've had this conversation before. I'm not a huge fireworks person. I think they're cool, but to me they can only be so cool. Like I think part of the coolness that people think is like the louder they are, the better. And the more like boom, 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 people just feel like it's better. And maybe even the more the lights or the designs or whatever and the colors. And I do think that's cool, but the loudness doesn't add to it at all for me. I mean, it does. Like, it does make it like, ooh, ah. But, which I, honestly, would fireworks be as cool if there were no sound? Can you picture that? Like, just, you know, maybe if it was just the pretty flashy lights, maybe not. I don't think you're right. Maybe it does need to have sound. And maybe the louder it is, the better. I don't know. I do like seeing lots of color. I do like the length of the fireworks. I think maybe if I knew more about the chemistry of fireworks, I would also be a little more impressed. Maybe not. I don't know. But I just said all that to say that fireworks, they're cool. I mean, I'm not, like I said, I didn't get to see them this year, and I'm not hurting about it by any means, but I do know that they were cool. And if you were a firework person, then you thoroughly would have enjoyed that show. Especially when they have like music playing with it, like, that's part of it. You got to have, and then if you can like time it to like go off at like the right time with the music, that would be pretty cool. Now that's impressive. But anywho, so it's summer. We're midsummer. I got to tell y'all about my last few weeks here of summer and my summer experiences. Okay. And these are just little things that I've noticed and little conversations I've had. So I had a conversation with my husband, and I don't feel like I talked about this yet. If I have, skip through like 30 seconds. It's not a long thing, but I had a conversation with my husband about cutting the grass. And that is because, you know, men, fathers, whomever, they're the ones who cut the grass. And thank God for that, because y'all, I'm not about to be out there cutting the grass, and not for anything else other than I can't do bugs and like snakes and things that he says he runs into, and insects and birds. Like I can do birds, but not like flying around. I just can't do that. Like and being out in the heat, and I'll admit, it feels like a cool breezy day, sure, but just honestly, it's the bugs. If there were no bugs, I would enjoy nature so much more than I do now. And I love nature. I love to look at it. I can kind of walk around it sometimes, you know, which we're going to talk about this walking thing, but it's the bugs, y'all. I can't. I'm one of those, as cool as a cucumber as I try to be around bugs. If I see one, my arms are just a flapping, I'm jumping, I'm yelping, I'm everywhere. And so that's the biggest reason why I wouldn't want to cut the grass. But anyway, so Hubs, you know, always feels the pressure to cut his grass when neighbors cut the grass, right? Like, oh no, so-and-so cut their grass, I got to cut mine. And I was like, why? You know, let it grow. Like, what does it matter? It's just grass. Like, just let it grow. Because I'm until it's like unruly, it's almost like Hubs has to cut it every week. And I'm like, does it have to be cut every week? Like, could you wait like a week or two? Like, would it matter? Y'all. Why did I say that? Okay. And so anyway, so I was just like, you just got to cut it. You just got to get it done. And so he cut the grass, and I have to admit, it did look better after it was cut. I was like, oh, okay. Like nice little lines, you know, nothing fancy, but it did look very nice, like with the grass being cut. So I was like, okay. And so being the female that I am, I was like, you know what this reminds me of? This is like getting your eyebrows done, because when you obviously can just grow your eyebrows out and it's fine. Like they're fine, they're natural, they're great, you know, whatever. But when you get them like shaped, okay, and I get threaded. But you can get them waxed, you can get them plucked, you can get them threaded, and they do look just crisper afterward. Like they look nicer. And I'm like, maybe that's like the grass. Like grass with nature just growing, it's not bad. Like it's fine. But when you cut it, it is a little crisper. It is a little nicer. It is a little more defined. And so that was my connection. I was like, okay, Hubs is in all men supposedly obsession with cutting the grass, but because it does look a little nicer and crisper when it's done. And it's just like when I got to get my eyebrows done, you know, it just looks a little bit nicer. It's one of those things that people may not necessarily notice unless it's super unruly, right? Like your grass, people aren't going to notice too much unless it's super unruly. Same with your eyebrows. But they do notice when it is a little crisper. And so you're like, okay. So I was like, okay, maybe that's how I can understand it. But even with that, so remember I said, what, why not just let it grow for like a week or two? You guys, I did not mean to jinx my husband. Because I'll tell you what, our lawnmower, the last time Hubs mowed it, which was this past time, it broke. Something happened to it, which our lawnmower is constantly breaking, I feel like, which I don't understand. Like, I don't know if our grass is too rough for it. Like, maybe we need to cut it twice a week. I don't know. But the lawnmower is always going out. And so this time it broke. And usually husband can fix it. Like, he's like, okay, he can fix it. Well, he was trying to fix it and he lost like a piece that he needed. It just fell. I don't know. He misplaced it. So he was like, I got to order this piece. When I say it has been a whole ordeal to try to get this lawnmower fixed. Like, it has been an ordeal. Like, apparently this one piece we ordered, the guys, pretty sure we needed, but it wasn't the piece we needed. So then we got a different piece, but that probably wasn't it either. And then we tried to, well, I say we, like I had any part of this. No, all I did was pick up the piece one day. But husband did all the work. And so he was doing all this work on the lawnmower and eventually like it wasn't fixing. His friend came over, they both tried to work on it and couldn't figure it out. Like, something about the piece isn't wrong, and they're like, we can't figure it out. And when the group of men can't figure it out, they're like, okay, let's take it in the shop. So Hubs went to take it in the shop earlier this week. So our grass hasn't been cut for probably 2 weeks or so. And I'll have to admit, like, I'm starting to note, I'm like, oh, it is looking like kind of scraggly in some ways. But I also noticed in the middle of the scraggly, on these walks that I've been going on, which I will reference it probably right after this. On these walks that I've been going on, I've noticed that I've seen, and I know they're just weeds, but the pretty little purple flowers, like, they're popping up, and I'm like, oh, so like, these are flowers that I never really get to see because the grass is always cut, right? It's always, there's no little flowers or weeds. It gets cut. But now that the grass has had to grow, I can see these cute little purple flowers, weeds, that are popping up. And I think they're so pretty. And on this last walk I went on, there were like butterflies, which we've always had butterflies, but there were like bunches of butterflies, the yellow ones, and then the like kind of orangey ones, and then other random little color ones. But like, I was like, oh, look, like the butterflies. And I don't know if they're there for the weeds or the flowers, but they were just there more. And so I was like, you know what? I am excited about when our lawnmower will be fixed and, Hubs will be able to cut the grass again. I'm pretty sure he's pumped about that too. But in the meantime, like, seeing the flowers pop up has been cute and has been very nice. And so take that as you want, and let that be your encouraging thought today, that sometimes the weeds and things and grass may be growing and you're like, but there is beauty in that you don't often see because, you do maintain things. So anywho, so this feels like a very just summary problem, very summary thing. All right, so I was going to save this for a little later, but I'm going to jump into it. So I've been going for a walk lately, and I think I talked about this last time. I'm trying to walk more, just in general. So I've been walking down the road and back, and generally when I walk, I do try to talk with God. I'll take it as, an opportunity to walk and talk with him, kind of like they did back in the Garden of Eden. I'm like, they walked and talked with God all the time, back then, talking about Adam and Eve. And so I was like, I'm going to walk and talk with God. And so I've been going on my walks, and generally I would play music while I'm walking. So I'll either pray to the music or I'll just have it turned really down. But I put headphones on when I walk because I'm like, I don't want people, not that I run into people, but I'm like, I just want to wave and keep walking in case I do run into people. But this one time I was like, you know what? I don't need my headphones. Like, I never run into anyone. I'm just going to walk without the headphones, or without because I have the little AirPods. And AirPods, I mean, they're hit or miss, you guys. Like, I like them. I do like the noise canceling. It's nice. But like, keeping them in my ear is a struggle. And so that part, I'm just like, ugh. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to walk without my headphones, and I'm going to, talk to God without the headphones. And let me just say that, the headphones didn't bother me, but the sounds of all the insects did. Because when I walk down my road, there's like I said, I kind of live out in the country, and so there's just a lot of grass and wild growing things. And so with that comes bugs, and with that comes bug sounds. And when I had my headphones on with noise counseling or with music, I didn't realize all the sounds of the bugs as they would buzz by. Like, I wouldn't notice them as much. Y'all, when I went on this walk and could hear like a buzz, you know how like they fly by and like bzz, and they fly by and you're like, ah! And if you're like me, you react instantly. So this walk was not the most peaceful walk and talk with Jesus, because I tell you what, I could hear the little bugs flying by, and every time I'd be like, ah, blah, blah. And I'm like, I know this is the same path that I take every day. There are no more bugs on this path than normal. It's just now I am very aware of them because I don't have my noise canceling headphones. And I was like, you know what? I am not. I'm putting headphones in every time I walk just so I don't get distracted by these bugs. And so I did. So after that, man, I had my headphones. Even if I don't have music playing, I just put the noise canceling on. Sometimes when I'm like walking and talking out loud, the noise canceling like try to go away because they think I'm talking to somebody, which I am, Jesus. But it does help with with not hearing the extra noise, like the sound of nature. There are some things in nature I like to hear. I like to hear birds. That's great. Maybe even the cows aren't bad. Like, we live near some cows. Even they're not terrible. They're kind of funny sounding. But the buzz of bugs and insects, nope, I don't need to hear that. Nope, the rustling of the sound of the corn, like we have a cornfield near us. I told you I live in the country, and sometimes like deer and stuff. Like, I don't need to hear that. I don't need to be distracted by a deer, which I did see a deer and her little baby deer on my last walk 2 days ago, maybe yesterday, one of those days. And I did see the little deer, and we stopped because I was like, I'm not walking past until you do. And they just crossed the road and kept going. But yeah, I've decided that I'm going to need some headphones on these walks that I have been taking. And it's so funny because I'm trying to walk. It has been sweltering, and I go at like 10:30, 11, and that's probably still a little later, because y'all, it's summer. Like, it's hard for me to get up and out, at before 9. So, I've been walking at like 10:30, 11, but even then it is like, y'all, it's hot. The last walk I went on, it was cloudy. And I was like, ooh, this will be good. This will be great. And I went outside and I was like, what? Why is this? The heat, the humidity, because it just rained. I mean, it was like, instantly sticky and just, yeah. And I was like huffing and puffing just down the driveway. So anywho, so that's been these little summer walks. Okay, so another thing, since I talked about bugs a little bit, and I think I mentioned it last summer, and I think it's going to be a every summer thing. I think it's annual, and that is the fly killing mission. Last summer, I had like one day per summer, and I'm thinking it's a trend now. There's a day where there's like 20 or 20 plus flies that somehow get in my house. Somehow. I do not know how. Like, the door opens and I don't see a fly, but then I turn around and there's a fly. And so last year, I remember, I think I killed like 20 something in one day. Like no joke, like just killed, like me and the fly swatter went to bat. And so this year it was time again, and I'm kind of ready for it now. I'm like, okay, this is the one day. And y'all, literally it's like one day and then we're good. This is it. And I had taken a nap on the couch, and I'd gotten up, and I heard, because I was hearing buzzing, but I felt like I heard more than one, and I saw like 3 or 4, and I was like, oh, this is the day, because I knew there would be more than the 3 or 4. I was hoping just 3 or 4, but I knew there would be more. Y'all, this is a nice brand new house, but this is the country. It's country living. So I said, I'm ready. Bring it on. And when I say I felt like I was like an assassin or something, like working for the military, I did. So I had me and my fly swatter, okay? And I'm just slinking around, and they just stay upstairs. We have an open floor plan, so it's living room, kitchen, dining room, like all one big area. And I have my fly swatter just pictured in my hand, like up and ready, poised. And then I'm just like slowly just kind of slinking around. I'm listening for the noise, because they just buzz here and there. So they'll buzz, and I'll be like, okay, I gotta go over there. And then I'll see it, and I'll catch my eye. And I have to wait for it to land. You got to wait for it to land. Now, there was a time where I could sometimes hit a fly like midair. There was a couple of times I did that, and I've tried it. I have not been successful in the last year or so of doing that. But I would wait for it to land and try to find a good angle. Like, y'all, it felt like I was planning. I'm like, okay, it landed on the side of the cabinet. Okay, I think I can hit it. Or no, it landed on this. I found the best spot for it to land is on a window. And because it would go behind the blinds. And if the blinds were closed, but it was by the window, I could kind of pull back the blinds and then like usually smack it that way because the blinds would kind of block it from flying away. And that was probably the biggest way where I killed most of the flies. But sometimes, other places. And then of course after I'd have to go and disinfect everything because I'm like, there was a fly there. But I really felt like I was on a mission because I was like starting to plan for them. Like I was like, okay, I'm going to turn out the lights so they'll go towards the window. Okay, I'm going to be quiet here. I'm going to wait here. I'm going to like stay here quietly. Okay, I'm going to sneak behind them and hopefully they can see you guys. Like, and it went on for like 30 minutes or so. Like, and I killed, I think, and I text my husband that I'd killed, I think at that time it was 13 or 14. And I was like, and I think there's 4 more. But I think I ultimately ended up killing 18 or 19 flies, like legit in that 30, 40-minute time frame. And then that was it. And what's funny, so some of the flies, like depending where they landed, I would of course pick them up and throw them away. But some of them I left there for my cleanup crew, and that would be my cat because he would go around and he would eat them. Like I would look down and it would be gone, and he's just there smacking his lips and licking his chops. And I'm like, oh my goodness. And so there were a couple of flies that I did let him go around and like he would eat them. And I was like, thank you, Leo, for taking care of the flies. But yeah, so fly killing mission number 2, summer 2, a success. I haven't had hardly any flies after that. I think 1, and that's been a couple weeks now. So very good, very good. My cat, lovingly disposed of the bodies, and I think we're good. I think we're done. I will say, this is so funny. I have this underneath that. There was the one that got away, and I do remember like, after like fly number 18 or 19, there was a buzz that I heard and I tried to get it and I smacked it. I mean, I almost smacked it. If I smacked, I would have killed it, but I got very, very close and he got away and I found him again. And I went for him again. He got away and he was my one that got away. Now I do think he died eventually because I never saw him again, which I do wonder, like if there's a fly somewhere, like I think their life expectancies are only maybe a day or so. Like I know they don't live long. And luckily, like I said, I do have a wonderful companion that will clean up the extra bodies. But yeah, so again, a successful fly killing mission that definitely makes me feel like I am in summer with all the flies. Another thing that makes me feel like this is midsummer is obviously the heat, but also something that I do in my car because of the heat. And tell me I'm not alone in this. So a lot of times, because I've always joked with my friends and I've said, I sweat like a man. Me and deodorant don't get along. Like I've been through so many deodorants trying to find the right one. So anyway, when I get in the car, one thing I do is because I instantly get hot. Like I'll put the AC on, but because it's so hot, usually my car, even though my car is in the garage, it's just warm. But I'll throw the air on like full blast and I will like lift my armpits. I'll lift my arm so that the air conditioning can reach my armpits. Now, I know that doesn't sound very ladylike, but I don't think I'm alone in that. Like, tell me I'm not alone in that. Like, because my armpits will just instantly start sweating. And I'm like, no, I'm like heading to church. I'm heading to a Bible study. I'm just heading out and about and I don't want to be sweaty and stinky. And so I will use the air conditioner to try to blow on them. And again, that is a good sure sign that, yep, I am in the middle of summer. I am using the air conditioner to blow my air pits, to dry them out, to cool them off. So yes, we are midsummer and it's wonderful. So I do have a couple of lovely life updates of productiveness or things that have conspired. Things that have, what's the word I'm looking for? Transpired. There we go. I was like, it's not conspire. It's not aspire. It's transpired in the last few weeks. And that is, I think I told you guys I was taking my praxis the last time. Well, I took my ESL praxis for my multilingual language learner, my English as a second language, teaching English to speakers of other languages, whatever you want to call it, test. And I passed. Whoop, whoop. And not only did I pass, but I also passed with a perfect score. That doesn't mean I got all of them right, but out of the 200 points, I got 200 points. I was like, yay! So success there. And honestly, that day, I took it on a Monday. a couple weeks ago, and that was a good Monday. I had taken my practice that day. I had gotten a call from one of my besties, Jess, from a couple episodes ago. I had a good, meaningful conversation with her. After the praxis, I went to go have lunch with my parents, and we went to, what was the name of it? Jason's Deli. And we went in and we actually sat down at the booths, and there was a lot of people there, a lot of older people there, because I think, I guess it's just lunchtime. I don't know. I think older people like to go and sit down. But no, obviously nothing against that. I loved it. And my parents and I think we stayed for almost 2 hours just talking and eating in the booth. And that was fun. And I think I was excited because I had just taken the test and everything. So I was feeling quite talkative. And so they stayed with me, and that's a memory, like, for me, one that's going to stick, because it was so cool. And it just felt like, this is what you do. Like, this is how you spend your time, how you should, with your family, with your parents. Just they're on one side of the booth, me on the other, and it was just me and them, and we just talked, and I just talked and shared everything, and they listened, and we're like, yeah, wonderful, engaging, and we ate, and they paid for my food. I was like, thanks, guys. We ran into other people that we knew from when I was younger, that they knew from church back in the day. I saw someone that I had actually went to a training with. I didn't know her, but I remember sitting next to her in the training. And so it was cool. It was just that whole day was fun. Taking the test, believe it or not, I don't mind taking tests. I was excited to take the test, the praxis, just to show what I know, just to see, like, I want to see what I can do. So that was fun. Having that conversation with one of my besties was fun. Going out to lunch with my parents was awesome. So that was a fantastic, good Monday. It was a good summer day. That was just a good life moment, a life memory that I want to hang on to. So next, I mentioned in the last episode that my husband and we went mattress shopping, or at least I mentioned that I know that I had, and I think I took him back the next week, and I'm not sure if I mentioned that, but so we finally decided on a mattress, and y'all, no judgment, okay, because we went bougie on this mattress. We got a Tempur-Pedic, and we got the split king, which is what we decided on, which we are a week in. I've had it for 1 week, a little over a week, about a week and a half, and y'all, I think we made the right choice. I love this mattress. We don't have a headboard or anything for it. We didn't buy anything. We just bought the mattress and the frame to go with it. So we do have our mattress, and we have the little frame thing that moves your head up and down or your feet up and down. And y'all, I love it. I love this thing so far. A week and a half in, obviously time will still tell, but I absolutely love it. I love my side. It's the soft side. It's so wonderful. It's the Tempur Adapt or whatever. Not trying to sell you something, but it's supposed to help with your pressure points. And I think it really does. I don't know if that's just a placebo effect, which I don't mind, as long as I'm feeling better. I have been able to sleep better, like my neck and stuff. I think it has helped with the improvement of my neck and everything. So that's been wonderful. So great. I think husband said he's pretty excited about his side of the mattress as well. So we did buy our split king Tempur-Pedic mattress, and we are very excited about it. I'm excited about it. It feels good. So yay, adult decision, adult purchase. Y'all, oh my goodness, I do have a confession to make though with that. So I went to a couple different stores, and I had went with one salesperson over the other. And so I called the second salesperson to let them know that I went with the first one. And y'all, I felt so bad. I felt guilty because the person, understandably was a little, upset about it, feeling down, I'm sorry. But my own guilt was oh man, maybe I shouldn't have shopped around. Maybe I should have just went with one person. Maybe I shouldn't have asked, So I called one of my other besties, Kimberly, and was because she's into sales and things like that. And I was like, Kimberly, Buena is what I call her actually. So more like Buena. And that, y'all, that's a long story. Look, when I get Buena on the podcast, that's going to be a good episode. So she's like my childhood friend. We met in 8th grade and we're besties ever since. So we have a lot of those lovely young stories, high school stories. Needless to say that we were our own group. You know how people have groups there's like the athletes, the smart kids, the jocks, they're the athletes. You got your gothic group, you've got your, all kinds of little groups. We were the others, okay? And if I ever get her on the podcast, then you'll definitely hear about that and hear some of those wild stories from 8th grade and high school. But anywho, so I'd called her and she reassured me it was fine. But y'all, I did feel guilty. I was like, man, how do you go over one person over the other? And they were completely different stores. It wasn't like I went to the same store and just picked someone different, but I just went with a different store and I felt terrible for like a couple days, y'all. It took me a while to get over that. I was like, oh my goodness, like I should have just... Anywho, so let me know y'all's thoughts and opinions on that. Like, is it okay to kind of shop around and end up letting someone down, or do you just go with one person and hope they're the best and only if they're not, then move on? I don't know. So anywho, so that was the mattress thing. Felt very adult-like doing that. It's a wonderful mattress. Great purchase. Loved it. I would definitely recommend it if you're looking for a mattress. So part of this summer, some of my summer plans, summer goals, you guys know I create lists. I like to do things. This is my lazy summer. I think I said last time I was going to be lazy for 2.5 weeks. We might have to extend that. I'm just kidding. I'm warming up to not being as lazy. For this first week of July, I was like, okay, when July comes, that means we're getting closer and closer to school. No, but I have to be a little less lazy. I got to start getting back into the mode of being somewhat productive. And so part of that is I wanted to clean out my pantry. And this has been like a 1.5 week ordeal because I wanted to clean it out. And then I also wanted to organize it. And so I went to, y'all know when I get in these little like, I want to do something. I went to the at-home store and I bought like all these containers to put the food and stuff in. And when I say like our pantry was a hot mess for like a week, like just know it was a hot mess. But I kept telling my husband, but it will be organized. Like it's getting there. I'm getting there. And I think I finally wrapped it up yesterday. It's not completely done. Like I do think there's probably more I'd like to add to it, but it's done for the most part. And I did buy like container labels to put on the things. So I did clean out my pantry, and so that feels kind of good. Like it does look, I think, a little better. It's a little more organized. My husband walked in yesterday. He was like, now I don't know where anything is. And I was like, true, but when I show you how I organize it, it would totally make sense to you. And so, and I think it did. So I put like my sweets and chips and snacks on the bottom, and then like my side dishes, what I call them, on the middle, and then I put my cans and other stuff and my breads and stuff. I don't know, y'all. And then all the way up. So I organized it as best I could and explained it to him and went ahead and showed him that. And I do think it does look better. If nothing else, I was able to look through everything and see, what I had and what I didn't have. So that did kind of help, because sometimes you throw so much stuff in your pantry that you're just like, so what do we have? What do we have in there? And so that was good. And then of course after that I had to go shopping for things that we didn't have to add to the pantry. But so I cleaned out the pantry, and then I was thinking about, okay, this similar vibes. I think I need to clean out my closets and things, because I started thinking about, and has this ever happened to you where you've thought about clothes that you're like, I don't think I've seen that shirt in a while, or I don't know that I've seen that article of clothing in a while. And so it started with, there's this jean shirt that I wanted, and I was like, where, you know what? I know I bought 2 of those last year. Where are they? And because sometimes I forget my clothes. And I was like, let me check. Because I do know sometimes clothes can fall behind my dresser, like underneath it somehow. Like when you open the drawers, and it can, if you push it back, it'll kind of go underneath. And so I was like, let me pull it out. Y'all, I pulled that bottom drawer out, and there was like 4 shirts under there. There was one that I was like, that is so cute. It was a sweater. And I was like, okay, I'm going to have to wait to fall to wear it. But it was so cute. I saw a sweater, a sweatshirt, there was another, I think there was 2 sweatshirts, maybe like kind of sweater type sweatshirts, a hoodie. And I was like, how did this get shoved under? Like, how was I able to even close these things? But they were like clothes that I completely forgot I had. So I started thinking, I was like, man, and I didn't find the jean shirts that were under there. They actually were in my other closet where I had stored my summer clothes. And so I did go in there and look. I was like, oh yeah. But then that made me think about other things I'm missing. Like, for example, there is this dress that I know that I have. It's this pretty black dress with like this flowy, I won't say wings, but like flowy sleeve type things. And I have not seen it since we moved, and it's been a few years now. but I have no idea where it is. And there's this blue and black striped jacket that I remember absolutely loving. And I have no idea where that is either. And like not a clue. And I was like, I know I have those clothes. But I'm like, but where are they? And y'all, when I say I have no idea, I truly have no idea. So yeah, take a moment to think about, like, is there a shirt you like, I haven't seen that shirt in ages. And I have no idea. And I don't think my husband would throw any away. Y'all, I do know there's this one skirt. It was my favorite black. It was almost like a casual skirt, athletic type skirt. Favorite, like all-time favorite. And I think I accidentally threw it away one day in a moment of not thinking. Like I had two things in my hands and one of them went in the trash and the other one went somewhere else. And then the trash got taken before I could double check and that skirt is forever gone. So sadness there. But these, I don't think, I'm pretty sure that's not what happened to them. I just have no idea where my clothes are. And the thing is, we've moved since then. Like I've been through all my clothes since then. So I would have found them. So I don't know. And I've checked, like I've checked my parents' house. I checked my sister's. I have no idea where these clothes are. I don't think I gave them to Goodwill. I do give a lot of clothes to Goodwill every year, but I just have no idea. I have no idea. I know I wouldn't have given them away because I still love them and they still fit. But yeah, so missing clothes. So I do need to find those. And like I said, I do want to work on organizing my closet next. These are the things that like, throughout the year you think you should do, but you're like, just give me more time. And then it's the summer and you're like, okay, this is the perfect time to do it. And you're like, man, but do I want to, like, I saw this meme the other day that was like, I never have the time to do the things I'm supposed to do. And when I do have the time, I don't want to do it. And I'm like, that is so me. It's like, oh my goodness, I have plenty of time to be able to do this, but I don't want to do it. But alas, here we are. So those are my kind of life update things for the last couple of weeks. I also wanted to throw out there that in these last couple of weeks, there were a couple of kind of things that stood out to me in a good way. So this would be like my deeper part of the segment. Not super deep. Y'all know I don't ever go very deep, but just the things that have been meaningful. And I already mentioned one when I mentioned going out to lunch with my parents and how that ended up being just like it was great. Like it meant something. It felt, I don't know, I just really enjoyed it. And that won't be something that I want to forget actually. But a couple of other things that stood out to me is that there was a quote that I came across and for whatever reason it resonated with me. And it said, "You don't have the power to make life fair, but you do have the power to make life joyful." And I really liked that because sometimes personally, I get caught up in the idea of fair. And I know life isn't fair. I know things aren't fair. But sometimes you just can't shake. Like, I just wish it was a little more fair. And honestly, there may be aspects that are more fair than others. Like, just because things feel unfair doesn't mean that they're not, because we don't know every situation, circumstance, the things that you're comparing fair to. Like, it's not fair that they have $1 million. Well, what did they take to get it? What did they do? So like you can't, depending on what you're comparing fairness, it may not actually be unfair. But let's say things generally just seem unfair. Like, from the bottom of your heart, like genuine, like you're like, I don't know if it's fair or not, but it feels unfair. And that's a true and genuine feeling. And that just is what it is. That's what I like about the quote is that you can't make life fair. There are some things that there isn't anything you can do to so-called, even the playing board to like, even the score, that's what I mean, to level the playing field. There are some things that you just can't make it fair because it's life and life happens to everyone, good and bad regardless. And so you can't control everything. And I know that, and we all know that, but it's good to be reminded of that. But it's also good to be reminded that you do have the power to make life joyful. So that's something that I've been having to think about. I'm like, I can't change everything. I don't even understand why some things happen. I don't understand why things can't always seem fair or feel fair. But regardless, those things that I cannot change or those things that I cannot fix or cannot make fair, I can still choose to have joy. And that's another thing that I know is very difficult to hear. Easier said than done. Because we're human, we have emotions, and choosing joy isn't necessarily, if we could all just choose it, we would all just be happy people, right? But it is saying you do have the power to do something about that joy. And that part I do believe. Like, there are some things that are just going to make you sad, just going to make you upset, and just going to feel unfair. And they may very well be unfair. But there are things that you can do, and you can't change those things, but there are things that you can do to try to make your life a little more joyful, to try to see the good in some things, or at least try to bring yourself a little bit of laughter and peace. There are some things that you can do to help that part of it. You can't change circumstances all the time, but you can change your outlook and your perspective and things like that. And so that quote just encouraged me this last few weeks. Since I heard it, it had been very encouraging, and I really like that, because I just like being told, you're right, it's not fair. It's not. And it does stink that you can't do anything to change that part of it. But you can do this thing. You can still have joy even in the midst of unfairness, and I was like, okay, and so I really like that quote. So that was for me, spoken to me. But if that encourages you, which I hope it does, like if there's any point in time where you're just feeling like, man, that ain't right. That's not fair. Why this? Why me? Why, like, ugh. I am so sorry that you're feeling that, for one, but then also know that, we can't change that, but there are things we can do to make how we feel a little better, to make life a little better, even in the midst of unfairness. So do those things that make you smile. Back to my Joyce Meyer, buy the shoes, eat the cookie. Okay. Do those little things that might bring a little smile to your face. But yeah. And speaking of Joyce Meyer, so I had been looking for a podcast for her. And I think she started one, and I hadn't looked at it in a long time. It's probably been over a year, but I think she started one since then. But then I found one that she has been doing with these other ladies called Talk It Out, I think, with Joyce Meyer. And I've enjoyed it. I've only listened to like 2 or 3, but if you are, I would say she's more women geared, but if you are anyone who wants to just listen to some like just good conversation about, living life for Jesus, just living a good life, period. She's a good person. Again, I think she's so interesting because I don't know too much about her life, or who she is, other than I enjoy the way she writes her books. She seems like a very straightforward speaker, but just kind of like her outlook resonates a lot with me. And so she may not be your person. And like I said, listening to her speak, she's definitely, she has an interesting voice. It may not be the most soothing voice, but I do like to hear what she has to say. So I will shout out a couple of her podcasts, but I do like the things that she says to help us have joy in this life and things like that. So that is kind of the things that stood out to me. One more thing, and then we'll go back to the lovely randomness of life. But another thing that in that kind of similar vein is, and now connect it to my music segment, is I was listening to the song Good News by Maverick City, I believe. And that's just a fun, upbeat song. Sometimes you just need fun, upbeat songs. And I like that one because it talks about, like, the good news is that Jesus loves you. And that's something we all know, but something we can all be reminded of. And so I was definitely enjoying that. And the one thing I do like about Maverick City, especially like their live things, is their songs. I mean, they're like 9 to 11 minute songs. They are so long because they do so much. They exhort and they talk at the end and they go into other songs. And I was listening to it, and at the end, after like a few, I think a couple of different songs, I think they did like Jesus Loves All Little Children of the World, but I think they ended on, or at least one of the points they did, Jesus Loves Me, the song like Jesus Loves Me, This I Know. And when I was driving, is when I was listening to it, it just hit perfectly. I don't know why. Like, obviously, these are songs we know. Jesus loves me, this I know. Okay, forgive the singing, but for the Bible tells me so. I started. Jesus loves me, this I know. There we go. Alto. That's right. No, I'm just kidding. But really, though, the songs, Jesus loves me, this I know, for the Bible tells me so. Little ones to him belong. They are weak, but he is strong. And then, yes, Jesus loves me. That's the part that got me. It was the yes, Jesus loves me. Yes, Jesus loves me. Yes, Jesus loves me. It's like they knew you had to hear it multiple times. And then, but how do we know? For the Bible tells me so. If you believe the Bible's real, if you believe that what is in it is real, then you have to believe that Jesus loves you. And that's just a good reminder. I was like, yes, Jesus loves me. Yes, he does. I think I was tearing up in the car. I was like, he does love me. And that was the only message I needed to hear in that moment, was that, yes, Jesus loves me. And regardless of everything, regardless of how I feel in the moment, it's what I know. Jesus loves me. And so that was encouraging. Those are my my just precious moments. And so I have to share them with you because one, why not? But also I hope that encourages you too, that yes, Jesus loves you. So go listen to that. And if you make it all the way to the end, it's such a long song. If you make it to the end and hear that part, then you know what I'm talking about. The yes, Jesus loves me. And how sometimes you just got to hear it. And sometimes you just want to hear it that simply. Yes, Jesus loves me. Yes, Jesus loves me. Because the Bible tells me so. Like, it's the most basic song, but it's powerful, though. It really is. So, yeah. Okay, so that's my deep part. Those are the things that have touched my heart in the last little bit. But we're going to go back to the randomness. And this kind of ties back to, how you forget, like, your clothes. I'm so sorry. I should not have ended that sentence there. You know how you forget your clothes that you have, that you may have owned, that I mentioned before. Like maybe there was a shirt or something like that. Okay, so maybe just like you forget, like sometimes you own things. Have you ever forgotten like a job you had? Not so much forgotten, but you just hadn't thought about? Well, the other day I thought about a job. I was like, oh yeah, I did do that for a while. Y'all, I stuffed envelopes for a while. There was a time where I would go to this warehouse and pick up these like big old boxes of it would have an envelope and a message or something to go inside of it. And my job was to take that box of like 100 something, 200, 300, depending how many envelopes home, and to literally fold and stuff the envelopes. And when I say, you would think, man, that's easy. It was easy, but when I say it took forever, it would take me like 16 hours and I'd only get paid like $130. But it was something that I could do at home. It was something that I could listen to something or watch something while I did it. And while it was definitely like, oh, there's so many, for a while, for a moment, I just hadn't thought about that. I was like, I stuffed envelopes for a job for a while. I remember that. Like, I remember I did do that. And I was like, man, what other jobs have I had that I've forgotten about? I know I've worked in a factory before. One summer, I did work in a factory where I worked on an assembly line. Like, that was interesting. It was for a temp agency. I remember, this is funny. For the interview, they were like, how many pounds can you lift? I'd never lifted anything in my life. And I was like, 50 pounds, I guess. Yeah. They're like, let's start you with like 35. And they have you, as part of the interview, you have to be able to properly lift something. And so I lifted this 35-pound thing. And when I say I was struggling, I was like, oh my goodness, they knew. They were like, this little girl don't know what she's talking about. Well, let's just say, okay, lifting 50 pounds is not quite like it sounds. Okay. I was like, surely, why not? No, that 35 pounds almost did me in. But anywho, so I still got the job. And I was able to, like I said, work in a factory and did that for a summer. And that was an experience in and of itself. It was very interesting. It was pretty cool. I worked with a lot of people who spoke Spanish. I wish I would have took advantage and learned some Spanish, but most of the time I just stuck to myself and sang to myself on the assembly line. But so just like random jobs I hadn't thought about. And I worked, retail and things. I think that's it. I think I did like tutoring for like a day once, maybe 2 days. I don't know, but that's funny. Are there any jobs you guys had out there that you've worked, whether it's an interesting job or a job you're like, oh yeah, I did do that. Feel free to share on Instagram. Get on there, write it under whatever this episode, write it under episode 36, the lovely picture. It's not even a picture. It's just like it is a picture, I would say. I use my little Canva to have a cool background that has episode 36 out now, But anyway, feel free to share it on there or send me a message or something like that. But yeah, so odd jobs. I just randomly thought about that. And so I wrote that down. I was like, I think forgot that I even had that job. But another thing that's lovely and random, speaking of high school, like I did at the beginning, is, I would love to be in a play or a musical again as an adult. I was in both plays and musicals when I was in high school. And so if you are in high school and you're listening to this, take advantage of those opportunities, because when you become an adult, it's a little different. You don't quite get the same opportunities to do those things, to do, plays, to do the musicals, to be in certain clubs, like when you become an adult, it's just a little more difficult. But I was like, man, I would love to do that, because y'all know, like I would love to be, a voice person. I won't say voice actor, because I don't think I have that much control of my voice to be able to act, at least vocally, not well. But to be able to act and stuff, like I think I could do a little bit. I could do, and I could do, y'all ready for some accents? Look, I could do some accents. All right, so this is my country accent. This is like my Southern Belle type accent. Like, and honestly, maybe not Southern Belle, because Southern Belle has a little more of a drawl, and that's like deep South. There we go, kind of like that. And then I got just my country twang. And then of course I've got my British accent, which y'all have heard before. Like, one day I'm going to surprise you all and do like the whole thing in a British accent, and y'all can be like, what in the world is this? I'm so sorry. Y'all know I get a kick out of it every time. I love my British accent, like, and it's the best I can do. And because I listen to a British YouTuber, and also sometimes I randomly will watch like a British show, and I can tell, because then like, literally like every time I'll start talking and I'm like, I just want to talk in a British accent. Like this is how I'm meant to talk, in a British accent. Anywho, so as terrible as it was, oh, I love it. Anywho, but that's not what I mean by voice acting, but really just being able to express myself into like the thrill of, pretending to be someone else, and like trying to like, transform. I don't know, just the acting and the musical part of it, I think would be really fun. I wish our church did some kind of, if our church grew to like 1,000 people one day, it would be fun to have like, to do plays and musicals like that. I think that would be a blast. Like, I would love to do that. I don't know. So if my pastor or pastor's wife ever hears this, if we get to a church of 1,000, please let us do some really cool musicals and plays, for the adults. Like, I know kids, like, they get to do it all the time. They get Christmas musicals or plays and things like that. I'm like, but man, adults, just because we get older, that part is still fun, memorizing lines, or at least for some of us, that part's still fun. But hey, for even like my background people, the set people, the people who are good with, design, or who are good at directing, or like just, good at doing the background work. Like, that's cool too. I think that obviously there's a lot that goes into it, but I think there's a place for everybody. It's fun. And if you can't do that, at least be a member of the audience. Be a good audience member. So yeah, I thought about that because I think I was listening to another podcast, one of my podcasts that I enjoy. And he had mentioned one of the I don't know if he's a producer, but like one of the editors, he's a young guy and he likes to do plays and he does them with his community. And I'm like, man, that would be fun. Honestly, I think that would be a blast. But, so I thought about that and how like awesome that would be. And I'm trying to like wrap it up. I got a few more things on this list, but I'm like, okay, but we can get through this pretty quickly. Okay, but they're so random. So this is not my food segment, but it is have to do with food, as y'all know. And this is what I wrote. A new snack sometimes brings the slightly delayed craving for more of that snack. And let me explain. So have you ever tried something that when you first put it in your mouth to try to eat it, you're like, huh? And you're like, it's not bad. It's not the best thing I've ever had. And then like, I don't know, a minute later, you're like, I want some more of that thing. Whatever that was, like maybe initially it was like, okay, but then all of a sudden you start craving it and you're like, oh, I think that's really good. Like I want some more of that. And that's usually for me, it's like those kind of salty snacks or those salty sweet snacks, like the things that do come in a bunch, but like you just grab like a couple and then you're like, I want some more. Kind of like the Muddy Buddies. Oh, I don't know if you've had Muddy Buddies before, but if you haven't, get you a bag. And I think the Chex Mix people make them. Or, homemade. They can also be homemade, but you grab a couple of those and you're like, this is good. Give you like 30 seconds. Now those pretty much instantaneously I want again, but give you a couple seconds later and it's like your body knows. It's like, oh, I want some more of that. It starts craving it all of a sudden. And because I can't believe, I don't remember what snack I had tried, but I had eaten a couple of them. I'm like, oh, they're not bad. But I'm telling you what, a minute later, I was like, I want some more of those. And I think I ended up eating like almost half the bag of them. And so I just thought that was kind of funny that sometimes it's a delayed craving. Like you got to get a taste for it. But anywho, so speaking of food, my husband and I, so every time we get food, and I've mentioned it before, food just feels expensive. Y'all remember when I said how like Taco Bell was expensive the other day and Subway was expensive for being Subway? And like everywhere I go, it just feels more expensive. And Hubs joked, he's like, you know what? Something I think I've noticed, and this comes from him, is that every time people pay for food, they have to mention how expensive it is. And so I started paying attention, and legit, it's almost every time. And like even I do it, and I know, I'm aware that Hubs has mentioned this to me, but I'm still like, that is expensive. Like, we have to say, like, that is expensive. Like, I am paying more than I thought for that. Like, Hubs and I don't know if I shared this. We went to McDonald's and I got a McGriddle. We both got a McGriddle meal and that was it. And I got orange juice, but a small, and it was $1.20 upcharge. It was $17 for 2 McGriddle meals. And I was like, that is expensive. And I know. And I'm like, I know everything's expensive. It's inflation. But then even the size of the McGriddle was smaller. So shrinkflation is happening. I was like, this is tiny compared to what it used to be. And it costs more. But you guys, it is kind of funny. So see if you can notice that whenever people pay for food, and maybe it's just us, maybe it's just me, my crew, my crowd, my friends or whatever, or maybe it's just my husband and I, when we pay for food, it is like, oh, that is expensive. We talk about how expensive it is because it just feels expensive. I think we're just not used to it yet. We are not used to the cost of, a hamburger being beyond the $1 that it used to be, but it just feels expensive. So check that out. See if you notice that. See how many times people have to mention how expensive it is, particularly for like fast food places. Like when we go out to eat, it feels expensive and it's like, but it's kind of expected. Like if you're at a sit down place, but fast food places or even your normal places, maybe it's been like a month since you've been, go again and then be like, oh, that just feels expensive. And just see how many people mention it because it is very much mentioned. It is so funny because ever since husband mentioned that, I have noticed that. And I do notice that everyone does talk about how expensive the food is. And that's just funny to me. All right. So then, slowly wrapping up. We're getting closer to the end. And that is that. So another thing I've noticed is I'm always surprised at how empty like hospitals feel. So I went to, I've been to, I don't know if, not necessarily a hospital. Well, I think I've been a hospital, even in the last year I've been to a hospital, but like hospital or medical practices, but like big ones, not like just an office or things. But honestly, like a hospital or like some type of urgent care or something feels empty. Maybe I'm just the ones I'm going to, I don't know, but when maybe maybe because I'm going just to doctor's offices within these like hospitals, that I walk in and immediately when I walk in, there's like nobody. There's nobody. There is not a reception person. Sometimes like I know during like COVID times, there's somebody checking masks and temperatures and things. But even now there's maybe like a security guard. I don't even know. But there's like nobody when you walk in and you got to go to the elevator. You find the elevator. And if it's easy to find or if, depending, I feel like I can wander hallways in a hospital and run into just a few people. And that is not like how it is presented on any type of like media or like television or TV shows or anything. Like hospitals are always popping, anytime you see anything. But I'm like in real life, I'm kind of like, where is the action? Like I don't want to see it per se. And maybe I need to go to the ER and see it. I don't know. I just feel like I don't see a lot like that they aren't as busy as I expect for whatever reason. And like I said, maybe I just don't know. But even like when I go to like, not too long ago, probably in the last 6 months, probably see my friend who had a baby. I'll go to like see my friend who had a baby and labor and delivery. That's what it's called. Labor and delivery place. And I'll go in there and there's like a couple nurses. And then like I go to my friend's room and there's my friend and her baby. But like, that's it. Like, and I'll go out and there's like a nurse or two, and I assume maybe obviously there's gotta be other people in the rooms. I just don't see anybody. Like, I don't see doctors wandering around. I don't see nurses. I see a couple nurses. I don't see a lot of patients. It's just wild. I'm just like, our hospitals, they feel emptier. Like, and maybe, like I said, it's just where I am when I go, I don't know, but it never seems like super busy and crowded. Which, I guess that's a good thing, y'all. I don't know. But I don't know. Has anybody else noticed that? If you have, let me know. If you're like, if you just been at the wrong times in the wrong hospitals, let me know that too. But yeah, I just feel like they're not as busy as, as they appear. But anyway, so those are my random things for the last couple of weeks. You guys, y'all, it is midsummer. I am so excited. and a little like, because y'all, if we're in July, that means school starts back next month. And we go back, I don't know, maybe like the 6th of August, something like that. I don't know the exact day, but it's early and it's coming. Y'all, it's coming. Oh no. For those of you who've worked all summer, you're like, well, we've been here. But I will say kind of the joy of July is a back to school shopping, okay? And supplies, yes, those are fine. But I'm talking more like clothes. I'm like, okay, I need new clothes for this year. New school year, new clothes. Even for teachers, that's part of the fun is the back to school clothes shopping. So I do kind of look forward to that. But anywho, so you guys, thank you all so much for listening and for tuning in this week. I hope you guys have had an amazing last couple of weeks, and I hope that the next few weeks go fantastic. I hope your summers continue to go amazing if they've been great so far. And if not, I pray that they get better and hope they get just fun. Thank you all for tuning in. Feel free again to hit me up on Instagram, click like, leave me a 5-star review anywhere. And yeah, I'll catch y'all in a couple weeks.